Hello there. There are moments in our lives where the circumstances of our lives are completely beyond our control. We're powerless to do anything to alter what's going on. These are some of the most painful times in our lives. We feel absolutely powerless and absolutely desperate. Our situation seems unsolvable but unbearable. 1 minute life is normal and predictable and you feel like the master of your own destiny, and the next your world gets completely turned upside down. Most of us who are really suffering don't even realize that the real reason we feel so much pain is because this is the situation that we're in, a situation where we feel like we have absolutely no control. Even situations that don't seem at face value like they would be about this can be about it. For example, let's say that somebody's made up their mind about you. They formed a negative opinion. There's nothing you can do to change their mind. What's so painful about that situation is that in that moment, you are out of control. First and foremost, we have to ask ourselves honestly, what is so bad about being out of control? What we might find is that if we're out of control, it means someone else is in control. That's all well and good if you're completely convinced that other people have your own best interests at heart and that the universe at large is there for your own good. But if you don't believe that, like so many of us don't, can you imagine the terror of your survival being in the hands of someone who doesn't have your best interests at heart? Bad luck is one form of feeling completely out of control of your reality. If your version of being out of control takes the form of bad luck, you feel as if the universe is against you and you are going to be prevented from what you want and need. To understand more about this conundrum, watch my video on YouTube titled, "I Can't Trust the Universe, I Feel Like God is Against Me." You may be confused at this point because most likely you've been taught that you create your own reality. So how can it be true that I create my own reality, but I'm also out of control of the circumstances of my life? Once something has become physically manifested, it means that the vibrational momentum was so intense that it has become a physical thing. And once that has happened, no amount of physical action you could ever take to control anything would ever make up for or even be enough to match the strength of the vibration that has caused that very manifestation. But here's the thing. It's really tempting, especially if you subscribe to the idea that you create your own reality, to think that if you line up with some sort of an unwanted manifestation, that you've failed or done something wrong. This couldn't be farther from the truth. How do we know this? Because you know that something is supposed to be happening because it is happening. Most of the enlightenment experiences that you see on the planet Earth, most of the enlightened beings you see on the planet Earth, are that way because of the result of a negative manifestation. So as far as expansion is concerned, the things we line up with that are negative in nature are just as important, just as critical, in fact, as the positive manifestations. We do not create our reality consciously. Even when people learn how to create their reality consciously, the aspect of them that is subconscious is still usually so much larger that for the most part, humans subconsciously create their reality. This is fabulous if the subconscious mind is full of sunshine, gumdrops, and roses, but often it isn't. Often it's full of painful beliefs, fears, and negative expectations. But I'm going to stress this again. If you have lined up with a negative experience, something that is unwanted, you didn't do anything wrong. Your unconscious mind simply created something in your reality that is there for the benefit of your own expansion. To understand more about this, I want you to watch my video on YouTube titled, "The Meaning of Pain." It does absolutely no good to think, I create my own reality when we've lined up with something super painful. I'm going to say this again and put it in another way. It does absolutely no good when you tell someone who's suffering that they created it because they create their own reality. This does nothing but add insult to injury. It also isn't entirely true. If we were 100% deliberately consciously creating, no one on earth would choose to create painful situations for themselves. So, it's a much better idea when we've lined up with a painful situation that feels out of our control that we begin to look at the situation as if whatever is happening is supposed to be happening because it's happening. So what exactly should we do if we find ourselves in a circumstance that is completely beyond our control? Step 1. When we feel out of control, we feel powerless. When we try to take action to control from this space of powerlessness, we only wind our way deeper and deeper into despair and powerlessness. Literally, the second you feel bad about something to the degree that you want to control it, you are feeling despair. And so those lower vibrational feelings are what you're a match to. This means any and all action taken from these lower vibrational places will yield negative results, results that in fact reinforce the despair. We are using control to resist the powerlessness, and whatever we resist persists. So what should we do when we feel out of control? Quite counterintuitively, we have to give up control completely. This means we have to get in the back seat of life and just let it take us, kind of like you'd let the current in a river just take you downstream. I'm asking you to consciously give up. This is the art of surrender. You can't let go and allow, thereby releasing all resistance, as long as you are seeking control. So cut your losses. Be prepared to start over from scratch completely. Change is needed. It's a bit like a bigger scale version of being willing to completely accept you're at square one all over again, rebuilding your house of cards from nothing. You can't start building again until you stop resisting the fact that it has fallen. Spend time in this space of total surrender to the universe at large until that no longer feels like relief. And then you may be ready to move forward. Step 2, we need to set our momentum on the right course. Negative things manifest in our reality when our momentum is going down a negative course. And that momentum has built up so much speed that there's no real way of stopping that vibration. So what we have to do is to create a positive vibration and create the momentum behind that to the degree that that is the thing that is unstoppable in our current life. There is a huge difference between control and empowerment. Control and the desire to control is an ego construct. It is the byproduct of fear. It only ever comes from and leads to disempowerment. On the entire opposite side of the vibrational scale is empowerment. Empowerment is about finding alignment in any small way that you can, no matter how small or large. Once something is manifested, you cannot control it. You cannot control your government, your partner, the weather, your children, other people's opinions of you, and the list goes on. But you can take little steps to make yourself feel just a little bit better and a little bit better. You can find thoughts that feel better to think. You can curl up with a hot water bottle. You can seek solace in other people. The point is, in our lives, most of us, we look out at the circumstances of our lives. And we try to alter those because it's so obvious that if those things out there just changed, we might feel better. But that's a state of disempowerment to the external reality. What we can do instead is to realize that the one form of empowerment we do have is to take control over our internal reality, over the way we feel. 3, stop focusing on the choices that you do not have and focus instead on the choices that you do have. We may have absolutely no control over the external circumstances, that is absolutely true, but the one thing we may have is control over the way that we feel about what's happening in our reality. We may have absolutely no way of changing something that's happened, but we can deal with how we face it in the now. We can't control how other people behave, but we can control how we react to them. When we feel powerless, we slip into lack consciousness. We stop being able to perceive the power we do have and the opportunities we do have and the resources that we do have. This is a little bit like being locked in a prison for 10 years and not even realizing that the door is open. When we are focused on the ways that we are limited, we cannot see the ways that we are unlimited. That reality is so far away from us vibrationally, we couldn't even perceive it if it was in front of our own face. We can only be aware of what we're a match to on a vibrational level. Play a little game with yourself, just for the heck of it. In this current situation, take all of your attention completely off of the things that you have no control over, and place your attention instead on anything that you do have direct control over, even the tiny little things. Now I'll give you a hint. This particular game is what enables people to survive concentration camps, war imprisonment, and likewise circumstances of total and complete captivity. 4, set small goals to accomplish and things to achieve, and scratch them off your list every day. It doesn't matter how small or large these things are. Seeing that we have any impact on our reality is going to reinforce a state of empowerment within us. Even if the smallest thing that we can have an impact on, something like cleaning our house or our bathroom, even an aspect of our house, might just be enough to cause us to feel as if we're not so completely out of control. 5. Ask for help. Sometimes when we are at our utmost powerless states, it is an opportunity for a deepening on a spiritual level, regardless of whether we are asking for help from a person or asking for help from the universe at large. The act of asking for help connects us to something that is greater than ourselves. But by surrendering to the help of this collectivity that is greater than ourselves, we cannot be disempowered because we are indivisible from it. We are aspects of it. For help with this, you may want to watch my videos on YouTube titled Letters to God and Does Prayer Work? 6. Find out what it is that you're really afraid of in this situation. So often, even though there are many circumstances that are truly beyond your control, so often when we think that we're completely out of control, what's actually happened is that we have disempowered ourselves. We are so afraid of something, such as what someone else will do or say, that we're telling ourselves we have no choice when we do. We're kind of waiting for something outside of us to change so we can feel safe enough to take the action or say what feels right. But we're just completely unprepared to face a consequence. So we become paralyzed. Once we are prepared to face that consequence, we find we may no longer be stuck and powerless. 7. Regroup and reassess your genuine wants and needs. When you're in a situation that feels like it's completely out of your control, especially when the situation that's out of your control is a complete life collapse, that's a wonderful opportunity to amend your desires. And you will be amending your desires over the course of your life. So don't think that it's any virtue to want the same thing for the duration of your life, or that wanting different things means you somehow went wrong. When our life has barreled out of control, we need to start over from scratch and only keep the elements of our current life that we genuinely want to keep. So ask yourself, what do I really want, and why do I want these things? Then start incrementally going in the direction of those newly assessed desires. If you are experiencing the loss of control in your whole life as a nervous breakdown, watch the video on YouTube that I created titled Nervous Breakdown. 8. When you are struggling with feeling completely out of control in your reality, then you can guarantee that you are dealing with uncertainty. For this reason, I want you to watch my video on YouTube titled How to Deal with Uncertainty. Step 9. Love. Love in any way that you can. Appreciate anything you are capable of appreciating in your life. Feeling out of control is a state of fear. At all moments of the day, we have a choice between love and fear. The opposite vibration of fear is in fact love, so we cannot love and fear at the same time. Laughter is an expression of love, so even laughing at something totally unrelated to the thing we feel powerless about is an antidote to fear. Focusing on someone else's problems out of love and care for them is an expression of love. This is an antidote to your fear. Appreciating the smell of coffee grounds in your cup is love. This is an antidote to fear. And in the absence of fear, our world opens up to new possibilities. Possibilities which did not exist to us while we were in the vibration of fear. Possibilities are the opposite of the trapped powerlessness that you feel. As people, we are rendered miserable by the fact that we are continually trying to control things that are completely beyond our control. As people, we spend so much of our time trying to put milk back in a glass that has already shattered. It is understandable why we would do that. It's understandable when we're looking at a world where the circumstances external to us seem to have so much influence over the way that we feel. It's understandable why we would want to change those circumstances so as to feel better. But what we find is the more we do that, the more powerless we become. If you haven't noticed yet, it isn't working. So what we have to understand is that the immense beauty that's inherent in being in a situation that is beyond our control is that in that moment we get to practice the art of allowing. In that moment, we get to start over from scratch. In that moment, we get to feel the absolute bravery inherent in choosing love over fear. And we get to feel the impenetrable strength of conscious surrender. Have a good week. luck is one form of feeling completely out of control of your reality. Yeah, I hate these. Bubble, can you go sit upstairs, my lovey? Can you go sit on the couch? Can you do that? You gonna put this at the end? Bubble, Mama loves you. Can you go sit upstairs on the couch for me? Please? Please? Yeah, you should put that on the end of this video. Things are completely out of my control. Yeah. Perfect example.